Okay. Well, good morning. It looks like some people are popping on already. We'll give a couple seconds here, and get into the show. Had fun putting the show together this week. It's tried to have a little fun with it because we've got the holidays coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and people sometimes wonder why it seems to always be the season where others get sick. Well, it's because of the sugar load. It starts in Halloween, and with the constant barrage of sugar and the shit that people eat. It's incredible, and I used to live that life too. That used to be me. I'm talking about me, years past, and it's crazy. But I thought, we're going to talk about what your gut says about your personality, especially over the holidays. It's going to be kind of fun. I'll try to make it a little bit fun, and we'll go from there. Make sure. Let me open up the comments here. What a gorgeous day here in Minnesota. I think, oh shoot, I forgot to check the temperature, but I think it was in the 20s this morning. It's a brisk, cool morning. This is the last weekend for deer hunting, so I may get out there tomorrow morning. If I'm going to hunt, I'm typically the earlier part of the day type of hunter because if I go in the afternoon and don't shoot a deer until dusk, then I don't really want to field dress the deer out there in the dark and all that. I'm that kind of hunter. I'll do the I'll do hunting on the easy side of the day, where if I have to spend time tracking it down and finding it. So I'm going to try to maybe get out there tomorrow morning. We'll see how everything goes. But it's it's been a great week. Had a couple new clients last week. I got a few new clients coming up this week. I still have room for new clients. Um, I don't just take anybody who signs up. We go through a process, and I typically end up working with people who are committed and ready to work on their health and ready to receive the coaching that they need. So let me start off here. I'm Dr. Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. I have my practice here out of my homestead, Evenson Holistic Natural Health Center. I see people in person or virtually. So I have clients all over the country and whatnot. I love it. I'm passionate about the work that I do. I am not a medical doctor. I do not diagnose. I do not prescribe. I do not treat. I simply investigate people with their and walk through their health journey and identify what we can do to get things back into balance. I practice with quantum nutrition testing and other types of muscle testing, and that's what helps me drill down into the root cause of what is going on with people's chronic health. Okay, I do a lot of parasite work. I work with Lyme. I work with all fill in the blank, all types of chronic health challenges that people seem to walk around with. Okay, um, and there's no better feeling when people walk back into my office for their checkups, or I see them on a Zoom call, and you can just see the light coming back into their energy field. It I can't explain what that feels like, but there's no better feeling, I think, in the world when I can help somebody recover their health. It's just freaking phenomenal. If you're joining on any of the streaming platforms, it looks like I'm streaming on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, YouTube. Okay, I haven't been pushing YouTube too much because um, sometimes they have a history of silencing content that they don't like, that doesn't fit their narrative. Um, my primary repository is on rumble.com. The typical handle for my show is Evenson Holistic. I also stream live on Substack, my Substack channel, and Instagram, and now, oh, let's see, I don't see it up here. Where? Bummer. I thought it was streaming on X. Um, I got to figure out my X channel. There, I did something out there and I kind of screwed it up. So I will. That's on my list to try to remedy and figure out. Okay. Um, yeah, life is pretty phenomenal. You know, it of course it has its ups and downs, and we're coming into the holidays, and you get to see all types of personalities from your friends and family because of all the different stressors that are coming up, because of all the different maybe foods that they're eating. Uh, I can think of times in the past when people would tell me they get so stressed out about going to a family gathering, they don't even enjoy themselves over the holidays. Um, and my question is, well, if you don't enjoy yourself, then don't go. There's no requirement for you to go spend time in a place that you don't enjoy, or maybe even you don't feel welcome. Don't go. Go do something else. Um, and someone that I used to know, she finally recognized that after a few years, and it, it was my second wife, and she recognized that, you know what, we're not going to go. And once she made that decision, the whole rest of the, everybody else around her and stuff were, took off. It takes off the stress, and maybe that's the whole point: is holidays should not be stressful. You should not be stressful. You should not have all these, I call them expectations and perceived obligations to go and do stuff. Um, the time, and if there's stress or duress in your family and all that kind of stuff, the time to work on fixing that is not over the holidays. Fix that shit before the holidays so you guys can all, as a collective, enjoy the holiday. Okay, that's my soapbox. All right. So throughout the show, as you come on, I opened up the chat. Feel free to jump in the chat and say hi. And if you have any questions as I go through, we're going to have a little bit of fun. I titled the show "What Your Gut Says About Your Personality," and it was kind of fun. So welcome back to another cup of morning coffee with Doc Jeff. I'm grateful that you're here with me today. Go ahead and settle in, take a breath, sip your coffee. I have my coffee. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning, started my day with a great workout in the gym. Today was chest and arms day. Um, and for me, that is phenomenal. I took a little video and I'll try to get that posted up later. But for me, that is the best time of day for me to work out, and because I'll come up with every excuse later on in the day to not work out. But you've I've got it. We're going to dive into kind of a different angle on health that's kind of fascinating and a little bit fun. You've heard me say it before, but it's worth repeating. Okay, the body never lies. Okay, it whispers, it nudges, it warns, it signals. And if we pay attention, it tells us far more than most people ever realize. And today we're going to explore one of my favorite parts of that conversation, the gut. Okay. Now, most people most people think their personality is fixed. Okay? They think this is just how I am, or this is just how I've always reacted. Okay? But over the years in my office, I've seen something different. I've watched anxious people find peace once we addressed gut permeability, their gut health. I've watched overwhelmed reactive people settle when we calmed inflammation. Okay? I've watched tired, unmotivated people step back into their fire when we cleared their detox pathways. And I've watched relationships transform because someone's got finally healed enough for their nervous system to trust again. And so when the gut is off, we don't just digest differently, we think differently, we feel differently, we relate differently, and we show up differently. And that's how powerful this system is. God designed the gut as a central hub for mood, emotional resilience, intuition, even the way we perceive the world. So, today's topic, what does your gut say about your personality? And I want you to think of this as both educational and a little reflective. Because chances are some of the patterns you've been wrestling with aren't actually personality traits at all. They're symptoms, they're signals, they're your gut waving a hand, hey, asking for support. And my goal this morning is to help you see yourself through a different lens, to help you understand the connection between bloating and irritability, between sluggish digestion and low motivation, between gut inflammation and emotional reactivity, between blood sugar dips and relational tension. And by the time we're done, you'll have a clearer picture of how your body shapes your behavior and what you can do to shift both. So settle in, stay with me, and let's untangle this incredible dance between the gut and the mind. Because when your gut heals, your personality often brightens with it. And that, my friends, is where real transformation begins. So let's jump in. All right. So let's start by laying a solid foundation before we get into the fun personality patterns, okay? We're heading straight into Thanksgiving, Christmas and New Year. The season, picture this, the season is of rich food, sugar, late nights, travel, disrupted routines, family dynamics, and a whole lot of emotional energy in the room. Some of you are some of you already know what happens to you every year. You say things like, I'm always so on edge around the holidays. I cry in November and December. I feel puffy, blah, and not like myself. I'm exhausted but wired. Now, most people chalk that up to stress or personality. I want to offer a different lens. A big piece of that is your gut talking. So, let me explain what I mean. Inside your body, there's a major communication highway called the gut brain axis. One of the main players is a nerve called the vagus nerve. And I like to think of it as a private line that God installed between your digestive system and your brain. It runs from your brainstem down through your throat, your chest, into your organs, and it carries constant updates all day long. And here's the part that surprises people. Most of the messages are not the brain shouting down at the gut telling it what to do. The majority of traffic is the gut sending information upward to the brain. In other words, your gut is narrating the situation to your brain, not the other way around. So if your gut is inflamed, sluggish, infected, bloated, overfed with sugar, or struggling with toxins, that vagus nerve is carrying a lot of alarm signals upstairs. The brain receives that and thinks, we are not okay. Something is off. We need to protect. Okay. That protection does not always look like duck and cover. It looks like mood changes. It looks like irritability. It looks like anxiety. It looks like low motivation. It looks like brain fog. It looks like emotional shutdown or emotional outbursts. Those reactions are not random. They are physiology expressing itself as personality. So let me bring in another layer. Your gut is not just a food tube, it is a chemical factory. A large percentage of your serotonin, which influences mood, flexibility, and a sense of well being, is produced in the gut. Your gut is deeply involved with dopamine, which affects motivation and reward, and GABA, which helps calm the nervous system. And when the gut is healthy, these messengers have a better chance of staying in balance. When the gut is inflamed or leaky, those chemical messages get distorted. So picture this. You go into the holiday season already a little depleted. Maybe you're not sleeping as well. Maybe you've been under more stress. Then you stack on top of that extra sugar, alcohol, richer foods, more gluten, more dairy, and less movement. The gut lining gets irritated. The microbiome shifts. Blood sugar swings become more dramatic. And what happens next is the vagus nerve starts lighting up with signals that sound like too much, overload, not safe, out of balance. The brain hears that and responds with symptoms you feel as thoughts and emotions. You might snap at your spouse more. You might feel extra sensitive to comments from family. You might feel teary for no clear reason. You might feel like you've lost your drive. You might feel like your mind is buzzing and cannot shut off. Most people then say, "This is just me. I am a mess." Or, "I am just not good with family." Or, "I am just an anxious person." I want to push back on that a bit in love. This is where I normally say I'm going to call bullshit. What if those moments are less about your identity and more about your internal chemistry? What if your gut is quietly steering more of your behavior than you have ever realized? So in my office, I've watched this play out year after year. When we clean up someone's digestion, when we support stomach acid, bile flow, and enzymes, when we address bacterial overgrowth or yeast or parasites, when we open drainage and detox, when we stabilize blood sugar, the personality often shifts with it. People will look at me and say, "I feel calmer. I don't react the same way to stress." Or, "I am more patient with my kids. I feel more like myself again." Well, their story did not change. Their childhood did not change. The demands of life did not magically vanish. What changed was the conversation between the gut and the brain. So, as we step into Thanksgiving and Christmas, I want you to see this season through that lens. You're about to put your gut into the highest pressure zone of the year. More food, more sugar, more sitting, more emotion, and less rhythm. So instead of beating yourself up for every emotional wobble, I want you to start getting curious. Ask yourself, how is my gut right now? What did I just eat? How is my digestion? Did my mood drop after that meal? Do I feel more reactive when I am bloated or constipated? And you may notice a very direct connection. So in a moment, I'm going to walk you through 4 common gut patterns that I see and the personality signatures that tend to show up with each one. And as you listen, I want you to mentally circle the pattern that sounds most like you. And I also want you to imagine what might happen if that pattern were relieved. Who might you be? And how might you show up? If your gut were not constantly whispering danger into your nervous system, Because if we start to heal the gut, especially going into the holiday season, we can change more than your digestion. We can change your experience of yourself, your family, your relationships, and your emotional world. So take another sip of your coffee, settle in, and let's look at those four patterns together. All right. This is a good break in the segment here. If you happen to be on one of the platforms that you can chat, say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where the audience is streaming from. All right. All right. So the four gut patterns and their personality, I'm calling this segment here. Now that the foundation is set, let's walk through the four big gut patterns I see every single week in my practice. Okay. As I go through these, I want you to listen not just for your digestive symptoms, but for your emotional ones, your relational ones, and your seasonal ones. You'll probably hear yourself in at least one of these patterns, and sometimes two. And as always, none of this is about judgment. This is about awareness. Okay. When you understand your pattern, you can finally understand your reactions. So let's start with the first one. This is the bloated and inflamed pattern. Okay. The personality signature with this one is reactive, overwhelmed, shorter fuse, emotionally puffy. Okay. So this is the person who wakes up feeling swollen or heavy in the belly. They might feel decent in the morning, but they expand as the day goes on. The waistline changes. The discomfort comes in waves. And they're going to often say things like, I don't know why I'm so irritable. I'm overwhelmed by the smallest things. Or I'm anxious out of nowhere. Well, here's why. When the gut lining is inflamed, the vagus nerve interprets that as a constant low level danger signal. And the brain responds with heightened vigilance. That vigilance feels like irritability, like reactivity, like sensory overload. And so emotionally, this person tends to snap quickly. They might feel easily overstimulated. They might become defensive when pressured. They'll shut down in conflict. They could get triggered faster when blood sugar dips. So around the holidays, this pattern gets magnified. Sugar feeds inflammation. Let me say that again. Sugar feeds inflammation. Alcohol inflames. Gluten and dairy irritate the lining. Emotions run higher, and suddenly their personality feels off. But again, it's not personality, it's inflammation. So the root causes might also include the SIBO. Um, that's the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You might have low stomach acid. You might have food sensitivities. You could have yeast or candida, stress eating, toxicity irritating the gut wall. You could have parasites. So what we need to do is fix the inflammation, and 9 times out of 10, this person calms dramatically. Good morning. Be sure to say hi in the chat so I can see. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see. All right. So the second personality type, this is the sluggish, slow digestion pattern personality signature. Oh, okay. I mixed up my words here. The sluggish, sluggish. Say these words 3 times fast. The sluggish, slow digestion pattern. Okay, I got it out. All right. The personality signature of this person is low motivation. They're emotionally flat. They're tired. and they're good at procrastination. This is the person who feels heavy. Their bowels move slowly. Their meal sits. They might feel full for hours after eating. They struggle with energy dips and often describe themselves as meh emotionally. So here's what's happening. When digestion is slow, the liver and gallbladder often carry a heavier load. So a sluggish liver does not just affect digestion, it affects mood and drive. The liver is deeply tied to irritability when overwhelmed and apathy when underperforming. And so people with this pattern tend to say things like, I know what I should do, I just can't get myself to do it. I feel foggy. I'm stuck. My drive is gone. Emotionally, they may feel detached. They may struggle to initiate tasks, lose interest in hobbies, feel feel less expressive in relationships. They may retreat inward. This shows up big during the holidays. Heavy meals, less movement, staying up late, and emotional stress thicken the load on the liver. Motivation drops even further, and the root causes often include poor bile flow, low digestive enzymes. You could have some hypothyroid patterns, meaning your thyroid's underperforming. You could have toxicity, constipation, parasites again, past viral or mold exposure impacting liver function. And so when we support drainage and liver pathways, this person often feels like someone turned the lights back on inside their mind. All right. The third type is the anxious wired can't shut off pattern. And the personality signature of these people are high achievers, overthinkers, easily startled, nervous stomach. And this is a pattern I see a lot of in driven. I see this in a lot of driven people. Oh, I am having trouble with words today. So they look productive on the outside, but inside they carry tension. Their stomach is often tight. Their chest may feel buzzy. They lose their appetite when emotional, or their appetite spikes under stress. This person tends to think ahead constantly, struggle to relax. They may wake up in the night. They might feel overwhelmed by small scheduling changes, or they carry perfectionistic tendencies. Biochemically, this often ties to low GABA, low magnesium, adrenal overdrive, gut permeability draining nutrients, blood sugar instability. And during the holiday season, this pattern goes into overdrive. There's that overdrive might look like more commitments, more obligations, less margin, more emotional exposure, and the gut becomes even more reactive, feeding the loop of anxiety and hypervigilance. I've been in those loops, they're not fun. Personality traits in this state include overthinking conversations, feeling guilty for resting, taking on too much. You might have a heightened sense of people pleasing. You may have difficulty settling the mind. And so, when we support the gut lining and stabilize blood sugar and calm the adrenals, this person often steps into a calmer, more grounded version of themselves. All right. And the fourth type here, the craving and convulsive, convulsive. No, you're not doing you're not convulsing. The craving and compulsive pattern. Okay. The personality signature here is reward seeking, mood swings, impulsive eating, and emotional dips. Now, this is extremely common around the holidays. You have cravings for sugar, bread, sweets, alcohol, snacks, emotional eating, eating for comfort, eating for relief. People with this pattern often say, I don't know why I can't stop myself. I just need something sweet to feel normal again. Or I feel moody when I don't get it. These behaviors are not a lack of discipline, they're biology. Candida, dysbiosis, parasites, and blood sugar instability all drive the brain toward quick reward chemistry. And when blood sugar crashes, the body releases adrenaline to keep you conscious. That adrenaline gets misinterpreted as irritability, sadness, or anxiety. So the person eats to regulate. And emotionally, this pattern can show up as impulsive decisions, emotional highs and lows, difficulty with long term planning, conflict in relationships around food. You might have guilt cycles or using food to self soothe. During the holidays, this pattern explodes because the microbiome gets fed exactly what it wants. And the root causes often include yeast, parasites, low protein intake, blood sugar swings, stress hormones, poor sleep. Yet once we stabilize blood sugar and starve out the dysbiosis, these individuals often say, I finally feel like myself again. I'm not controlled by cravings anymore. And so these four gut patterns are not random. They show up everywhere. They show up in your mood, your decision making, your motivation, even your relationships. And speaking of relationships, in the next segment, we're going to talk about how these gut patterns affect how you communicate, love, connect, and respond to the people closest to you, especially during the holiday season. Because the gut doesn't just shape your personality, it shapes your presence. Interesting. Okay. All right. So now that we've walked through the four gut patterns, I want to bring this into the real world for a minute because none of us live in a vacuum. We live in homes, marriages, families, friendships, and holiday gatherings. And if the gut has this much influence over mood, resilience, motivation, and reactivity, then naturally it has a huge influence on how we relate to the people around us. And this is one of the most eye-opening parts of holistic work for people is they've spent years blaming themselves for being too emotional or too sensitive or too irritable or too checked out. They've blamed their personality. They've blamed their wiring or they blame their past. Sometimes they even blame their partner. But when we dig deeper, far more often than people realize, it's physiology showing up inside the relationship. So let's walk through a few patterns so you can see this clearly. There, the first pattern, the inflamed pattern in relationships. Okay, this person doesn't want to be irritable. They don't want to snap. They don't want to get overwhelmed by noise or conversation. But when the gut is inflamed, everything feels bigger. The nervous system is primed for threat. The vagus nerve is sending distress signals. Danger, danger, Will Robbins. The brain is working harder to self regulate. And so small things suddenly feel like big things. A comment might land harder than it should. A tone feels sharper. A simple question feels like pressure. A room full of relatives feels like chaos. So around the holidays, this can lead to shutting down during family gatherings, withdrawing early, defensive communication, emotional sensitivity, feeling misunderstood. Sorry about that. Feeling misunderstood, shorter fuses, and people think, I'm just not good with crowds, or my family stresses me out. But in many cases, the gut is creating a baseline of irritation that the mind interprets as emotional discomfort. And when we can calm that gut inflammation, calm that fire down there, I've watched people become more patient, more open, and more grounded in conversation because they feel better in the body that they're in. And really, that's half the battle right there. I know from experience, if I don't feel good in my body, my moods, my emotions, my attitude, everything is different. I know on days if I'm ever constipated, my moods, my attitude, my emotions, everything is different. All right. So the second pattern here is the sluggish pattern in relationships. This person is not lazy, they're not disengaged, they're not emotionally unavailable. Their system is simply heavy. Low bile flow, slow bowels, liver congestion, and toxicity can create a sense of emotional weight. And this person often wants to participate but feels overwhelmed by the effort. So in relationships, they may struggle to initiate conversation, they may feel disconnected, they may have trouble expressing affection, they may feel guilty for not showing up more, or they may seem distant or uninterested. I've been in that situation before. I've felt like that. So during the holidays, this can lead to misunderstandings. Oh boy, have I seen that. Um, Partners or family members may feel ignored or assume disinterest, but really the person is fighting low energy and internal drag. And so when we support the liver, the personality often brightens and relationships soften. So the next pattern, the anxious wired pattern in relationships, okay? This one hits a lot of homes during the holiday season. This is the person who wants everything to go right, wants the house in order, wants the meal perfect, wants the schedule clear, and feels overwhelmed when things don't go as planned. They're not trying to control, they're trying to stabilize their physiology. A nervous gut sends continuous be on alert signals. So the mind tries to create control in the external world. And in relationships, this person may overthink conversations. They may worry about upsetting others. They may feel responsible for everyone's experience. They may become more reactive under pressure. They may read too much into tone or body language, or they may struggle to let go and enjoy the moment. To me, it almost sounds like an anxious, preoccupied attachment type when you're talking about relationships. I have a lot of experience in this particular uh, section. So during holiday gatherings, this pattern can lead to tension, self judgment, or exhaustion. But when we support the gut, stabilize blood sugar, and calm the adrenals, the person becomes more flexible, spontaneous, and relaxed. All right, and finally, we have the craving compulsive pattern in relationships. This pattern creates a tug of war internally and relationally. So when blood sugar crashes, the body releases adrenaline, and that feels like irritability or sadness. Okay. So when yeast or dysbiosis drive cravings, the person feels out of control. And that can show up in relationships as mood swings, emotional eating, impulsive decisions, irritability after meals, conflict around food or alcohol. They might be having guilt loops, or they'll have impulsive reactions. And so during the holidays, this shows up a lot. One moment laughing, the next moment quiet or withdrawn. One moment excited, the next moment anxious or overstimulated. It's not moral failure, it's chemistry. When we stabilize blood sugar, these individuals become emotionally steady, more predictable within themselves, and more present with the people they love. So why all of this matter for the holidays, okay? Well, the holiday season magnifies these patterns. More food, more alcohol, more sugar, less sleep, more emotional triggers, more people in your space, more expectations, even more nostalgia and more unresolved dynamics. All of that puts the gut and nervous system under pressure. So here's the encouragement I like to give this time of year. When you or someone you love reacts, pauses, withdraws, gets overwhelmed, or seems off, take a moment to ask yourself, what's going on in their gut right now? What's going on in mine? Because it creates compassion, it shifts the tone, it helps you not take things personally, and it helps you show up with more understanding. I've watched healing a gut transform marriages, parent child relationships, and entire households. Because when someone's body feels safe, their heart has more room to open. And when the gut is calm, the mind and emotions follow. So in the next segment, I'm going to give you simple, practical steps you can use this week before the holidays even hit to help stabilize these patterns and support your gut so you don't walk into Thanksgiving and Christmas already depleted. All right. So buckle in. Here we go. Simple steps to shift your gut and shift your personality before the holidays. Okay. We've talked about what happens in the gut. We've talked about how those patterns show up emotionally and relationally. Now let's bring this down to earth and talk about what you can actually do this week, right now, to support your gut so you're not walking into Thanksgiving and Christmas already dysregulated. These steps are simple, they're not extreme. They're things you can actually maintain inside real life. And when you use them consistently, even for a few days, you begin to notice shifts in your mood, your clarity, your patience, and your overall sense of groundedness. All right, so let's walk through them. First one, stabilize your blood sugar. If you only do one thing, do this. Blood sugar swings are one of the fastest ways to activate the stress response. When blood sugar drops, adrenaline goes up. And that adrenaline is often interpreted by the brain as anxiety, anger, irritability, or sadness. So before you hit the holiday meals, try this for a week. Eat protein with every meal. Keep your snacks simple and clean. Avoid eating sugar on an empty stomach. Don't skip your meals. And be sure to pair your carbs with healthy fats. It's amazing how many emotional patterns vanish once the blood sugar becomes stable. Number 2, support digestion at the start of each meal. Okay, how do you do that? Well, during the holidays, this becomes essential. Before you take your first bite, try one of these: a tablespoon of lemon juice in warm water, or have some digestive bitters, or a gentle enzyme if your system needs it, or you can do a few deep belly breaths to relax your vagus nerve. This wakes up stomach acid, bile flow, and enzyme release so that your system doesn't get overwhelmed. A calm gut digests better and reacts less. All right, the third one: move your body after you eat. This is so simple, and I grew up watching my grandparents, my parents, everybody would go for a walk after eating a holiday meal. It's so simple and it's easy to ignore. A 10-minute walk after a meal helps stabilize blood sugar, helps reduce inflammation. It will improve vagus nerve signaling and move your lymph. It will even lighten the emotional load. So if you walk after dinner every day this week, you'll feel a noticeable shift in your mood and clarity. Number 4 is hydrate with minerals, not just water. Most people are dehydrated, but don't realize it because they're drinking enough water. What they're not doing is supporting electrolytes. Dehydration stresses the gut. It slows transit time. It thickens bile. It creates tension in the muscles around digestion. So what you can do is try a pinch of real organic sea salt in water. You can put in some trace mineral drops in water. Or if you're okay with it, you can tolerate it, drink coconut water. Hydration with minerals supports both your gut and your nervous system. Number 5 is give your liver a little love. A sluggish liver is behind so many holiday emotional crashes. Easy ways to support it: warm lemon water in the morning, dandelion or milk thistle tea, reduce alcohol before big events. You can do light sweating through movement, or you can do gentle stretching to open the midsection. Even a small improvement in liver function often shows up as better mood and more patience. All right. Number 6 is calm the vagus nerve daily. A happy vagus nerve is a happy gut brain connection. Try one or two of these each day. You can do humming. You can do cold splash on the face, slow deep breathing, gentle neck stretching, gratitude journaling, or prayer time to regulate the heart. This helps the gut communicate safety instead of threat. Now, here's a big one. Number 7 is reduce sugar for 3 days. I don't expect anyone to be sugar free during the holidays. I know if there's a good looking Christmas cookie there, there's a good chance I'm going to eat it. But a short sugar reset before the season begins primes the gut to handle the bigger loads. So 3 days without sugar, it can calm your gut dysbiosis, it can reduce cravings, it steadies your blood sugar, it lowers your inflammation, and supports emotional balance. So every one of the four gut patterns softens when sugar intake decreases. And I don't know if you remember, Harvard came out with their study finally saying, and agreeing with what holistic practitioners have been telling us about heart disease, cholesterol does not cause heart disease. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. It's inflammation and sugar. Inflammation and sugar. Sugar inflames everything it touches. All right. Number 8 is know your gut pattern. This might be the most empowering piece. Knowing your pattern helps you anticipate your reactions instead of feeling blindsided by them. It lets you prepare emotionally and nutritionally for the season so you're not surprised when your body sends signals. So if you're inflamed, you know you need calming foods. If you're sluggish, you know you need movement and bile support. If you're anxious, you know you need stabilizers and magnesium rich foods. And if you're craving, you know you need protein and balanced meals. Self awareness is a form of emotional protection. So if patterns persist, get tested. Your gut pattern is specific to you, and if you want clarity on exactly what your body is reacting to, this is where I come in. Quantum nutrition testing allows me to see which organs are stressed, where inflammation sits, which foods are triggering you, whether yeast, parasites, or bacteria are involved, which toxins are overwhelming your system, and what your body wants to correct first. This is personalized gut brain work. And this time of year, it can make the difference between surviving the holidays and actually enjoying them. So, as we step into Thanksgiving and Christmas, my encouragement is this: give your gut a little extra support, give your nervous system a little more margin, and give yourself permission to understand what your body is saying instead of judging yourself for how you feel. So, in my closing segment, I'll wrap this up. I'll give you a simple pathway to follow and offer a gentle invitation for those who want deeper clarity. So, let's move into that. Bringing it all together. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with a simple truth. You are not your reactions. You are not your irritability. You are not your cravings. You are not your low motivation, and you are not the overwhelm you feel during the holidays. Those are symptoms. They're signals, messages. They are the language of the body doing its best to navigate the world with the resources it has. Okay? The gut is powerful. It shapes chemistry, mood, clarity, patience, resilience, and how we show up in relationship. And when the gut is inflamed, sluggish, dysregulated, or overwhelmed, it colors everything. It shapes the story we think we're living. But here's the good news: when the gut begins to heal, the story often changes. As I've said, the mind softens, the emotions stabilize, the cravings settle, the patience returns, the reactions quiet down, and the person you truly are begins to rise to the surface again. So as you step into Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, go in with awareness. Be kind to your gut. Be patient with your emotions. Pay attention to how your digestion and your mood dance together. And remember, every little step you take to support your body is a step toward a calmer, more grounded version of yourself. All right. So I have a call to action. If you listened today and recognized yourself in one of these gut patterns and you want clarity, real clarity on what your body is trying to tell you, then I'd love to help you with that. I'm going to invite you to schedule a full quantum nutrition testing assessment and let me look beneath the symptoms and identify the root stressors, the priority organs, the foods your body is fighting, and the support your system is asking for right now. And if you're ready for that next step, I'm going to recommend go out to my website, evensonholistic.com. Right in the middle of the home page, click the button, Begin My Journey, and schedule a quantum nutrition testing full assessment. And I have the early Black Friday code you can put in there. It's going to save you $251. So what that means is the QNT full assessment on through Black Friday is available. Doesn't mean I have to see you before Black Friday, because I know next week is a short week. Black Friday is next week. I'm just saying, get yourself on the schedule in the next couple weeks. It's going to cost you $99. Okay. And I'm going to throw in an MVX Plus lab test. That's a metabolic vulnerability index blood lab. If I can get you into a blood draw lab, and we would talk about that when we first connect. Okay. But go to my website, use the promo code. I didn't give that to you yet. Here's the promo code, Black Friday. Let me put it in the comments. It's going to be one word, all capital letters. And that is good through next Friday. Okay. $99. Black Friday special. Get on the calendar. Don't wait. And folks, I'm telling you, don't wait until January 1st. I put zero faith and belief in New Year's resolutions because we've all done them, and probably 99% of people don't ever follow through with them. They're all bullshit. Okay? So go to my website, evensonholistic.com. Right in the middle, there's a button that says Begin Your Journey. Click it. At some point, you'll be able to enter a promo code, and I put the word in the chat, Black Friday, all capital letters. That'll save you, that'll bring the price down to $99. Saves you $251. It's a one time a year kind of thing, folks. Get on the schedule, okay? And remember, this isn't generic advice. This is your body's exact blueprint, your gut's exchange roadmap, and your healing sequence. We're going to find out what is keeping your body from healing and what you need to do. And once you have the assessment and the information, then you can decide, hey, Jeff, thanks for the information. Have a nice day. Or preferably, and I will strongly encourage you to do it, respond with, hey, Jeff, I like what I see here. I see a clear roadmap. Let's work together. Okay. It's an interview process for both people. You're going to be interviewing me during that whole assessment process, and I'm going to be assessing you to see if we can work together. I don't accept everybody that comes through. Okay. But if you're going to work with me, it's going to be an exclusive engagement. I have so many new openings a week for new clients. So if you want a healthier, calmer, more stable holiday season, now is the time to start supporting your system. Okay. So let's close in prayer. Thanks for listening. Father, thank you for the incredible way you designed this body. Thank you for the wisdom built into every cell, every nerve, and every signal. Today we ask for eyes to see and ears to hear what our bodies are trying to tell us. Give us discernment as we move into a busy season. Give us patience with ourselves and with the people around us. Bring peace into our homes, peace into our minds, and peace into our gut. Help us show up with compassion, clarity, and a grounded spirit. And for everyone listening today, I ask that you bless them with strength, protection, and healing as they walk into this holiday season. Through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. So, folks, schedule up Black Friday special, all capital letters, promo code. Let's do it. It's time. You don't have to wait. Don't wait for the beginning of the year. Okay? I love you guys. I will talk to you later.